everybody, welcome back to Majestic Collectibles. So I've got a special guest in the audience today, my son Cam, also known as, formerly known as Cubbawabi, the varsity Fortnite player for Grandview University here in Des Moines. So bring him up to date, Cam. How come you're not playing Fortnite anymore for Grandview?
I graduated.
Yay! Yes, we're all very happy about that, and he's now searching for gainful employment. So if you got a job for him, let me know here. So this is a podcast topic from my friend Corey at Collectibles up in Minnesota, and I'm kind of putting Cam on the spot a little bit, not too much though. He's here because he knows what's going on with this market, and I don't know, I don't care, I don't know either one. So, this is from Corey, so I'm going to read this to you, all right? Mm-hmm. Pokemon collectors have gone from game players to singles collectors to unopened investors, and what does that mean for that part of the hobby? And I'm assuming that means, just the hobby collecting in general for Pokemon.
Sure. Well, there's a lot to dissect there. There definitely are more investors than ever. Pokemon is more popular than ever. Yeah. I think that's evident based on prices and to fights at Target and Target not selling stock anymore.
Yeah, I saw that live. That wasn't even a video. Yeah. You actually witnessed that,
we
right?
Saw that
here
in live.
Yeah, right here in Ankeny at the Ankeny Target 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Took the box straight from the distributor's hands, put it in his cart, and went to self-checkout.
So, fun times. And so Corey's next question, is it good or bad?
I think it's bad for the hobby right now. I don't think it will last. I think it's just a product of high prices. If there's $1 to be made, there'll be people out there trying to make that dollar. I think that's where all this investment, especially in sealed product, comes from. I don't know if those people were really into Pokemon or just looking at it for a quick dollar. But, to their credit, it does make a bit of sense. Booster boxes in general have always been steady. And that's not how I personally like to collect, but for whatever reason, there has definitely been a increased interest in these cases and sealed products. And
now, how long have you been collecting?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Probably since I was 4 or 5. I went to my first card show, and I never really stopped.
So 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
And do you play? Are you a player or just a collector?
I do play. I do play locally, the TCG. I've been to a regional. I watch Pokemon trading card game content of all sorts for my whole life. So
now, are you in it for the money? Is that why you're doing it?
I'm not in it for the money, but it has been lucrative recently.
Yeah. So tell them what you've been doing with collection you've had for basically your whole life.
For a lot of it, I've been selling it off and buying some more cards to regrade with PSA, just because prices are so crazy recently. And that's been doing really well. It's hard to go wrong, which is, I think, a bad sign, but good for my wallet.
And these cards that you're regrading, now you're keeping most of those for your collection to fill in, because you put sets together, right?
I am,
so how many sets have you got completed?
I probably have 4 or 5 completed right now and working on a couple more.
Which ones? Tell them which ones. Do you remember?
Yeah, so I have Generations, Evolutions, Obsidian Flames, and Steam Siege completed, as well as I have the Radiant collections for both Legendary Collection and Generations completed. And I'm currently working on Temporal Forces, the Pokemon Rumble promo set, and a couple of the Wizard of the Coast sets, so like base set and Rocket.
And the last show, so he went with me to set up at the QC Toy Show, a week and a half ago, I guess now. 2 weeks probably by the time you guys are seeing this. And what did you pick up there? You had really, really good luck for your collection there.
I did, yeah. I picked up a Terrestrial Festival Sylveon, Japanese, for $100. That's a good price. They're going for about $120. I picked up a holographic Dark Charizard finally for my collection. That was also $100.
And which set was that?
That's Team Rocket.
Yeah, so that was one of the older sets. So that's
third set to ever come out.
I would say, what year was that?
I would have been 2000, I believe.
Yeah, so it's actually older than you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're going to fill in now is some of that older vintage stuff.
I'm selling the modern and buying a lot of the vintage.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart way to do it because the vintage stuff. Well, tell them why. You explain to them what the whole numbers thing is on this.
Sure. Well, I mean, the vintage stuff is just rare, straight out. There's less graded about it. For example, I picked up a Gold Star Vaporeon, so I don't know if a lot of people know what that is, but it's a really rare card. I picked up in a PSA 5, and there's only about 2,000 copies graded of it. I picked that for $314 versus a card I graded myself, which is a Gray Fell Hat Pikachu, which is like the hottest card right now. It's selling for about $800. There's 21,000 of them just in PSA 10.
So, and what, you have told me an interesting number, like the percentage of Pokemon cards made in the last 4 years?
Yeah,
so what is that? Tell them what that is.
In 2022, the Pokemon released data that they printed 9 billion cards that year.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration. Mm-hmm. And is this worldwide or U.S.?
This is worldwide.
Okay.
And that's about 25% of every card ever printed was printed in 2022. And they haven't released data since, but we can assume that they haven't slowed down. If anything, they've picked up. So.
No, judging from the fights at the local Target, there's still a real shortage. Demand is, we've used the word ridiculous and unsustainable. And the fact that grown adults, so let's be clear here, these are folks closer to my age than your age that are literally fighting over this thing, and they keep making more. Mm-hmm. So even if it sells out, this is the way. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the Pokemon, the most recent 8-9 sets have gone to print more than one time, right?
Yeah. So a lot of them are on waves. And distributors just released some news a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, that they're printing every set from Paldea Evolved to the most recent one again. So that might be wave 3 or 4 for some of the older ones. And I don't think they're going to stop, because it is just free money for the Pokemon Company. Yeah,
and so where do you think this is going to stop? Because one of the things here locally in Des Moines, we've gone to a lot of the local trading card shows. They used to be 90% sports cards. Mm-hmm. What would you say the percentage of the trading card shows is now of Pokemon to sports cards?
I think just in the past 6 months, it's switched from 90% sports cards to probably 75% Pokemon.
Yeah, and that was very, very quick, right? Yeah. And so what are some of the problems you're seeing with that switch, from like a collector perspective, pricing, grading, things like that?
Yeah, well, it's hard to get your hands on cards now. Mm-hmm. If you're like me and you like to complete sets, it's impossible because there's a $1,000 chase card or two $400 chase cards, and that doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot of people. As well as if you can't go into any store like a Target and find products to open, that's a bad feeling. You're going to have to pay double, triple to these sports card guys that are buying out these boxes from people. And
they're pretty much paying full retail and then just marking it up.
That's correct.
On most of this. So, say it was like a $20 or $25 product in the retail store. What are they selling it for now?
Well, there's a product out right now called a Surprise Box for the newest set. It retails for $30, and the second hand is a good deal if you pick one up for $80.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
And it contains...
so way over double then. You're talking 2.5
And I believe it contains
retail.
4 packs is all.
And people are buying these. So to be clear, we have gone to these shows where they've been flipping this new retail product. And there are people walking out with not just one, but multiple...
armfuls.
Of Pokemon product. Just from these little shows. Now, I know one thing you mentioned, the sports card guys don't necessarily know the Pokemon cards as well. No. And what are some of the issues there you've noticed? So they've switched over because of the money.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a dealer, I'm a dealer, so, you go where the money is, you go where it's hot. But... there are some issues with that sometimes if you're not familiar with the product. So can you talk on those?
Well, for one is they never price anything correctly or grade it condition-wise. A lot of this vintage stuff, it depends on condition and price, but people will have it near mint prices if on a damaged card. And so it's hard to negotiate with them. They always mark stuff up even above market. And, it takes away from the collectors who just want cool cards, ultimately.
And so part of Corey's question here, are there really that many collectors like you? And your sister is a casual collector, even more casual than you. I have not seen that. Have you seen that at the shows or anywhere? I mean, there's not a lot of little kids walking in and buying this because they can't find it at the stores. And when they do, it's $80 instead of 30, right? So they're
Yeah.
kind of pricing out, what started this, which was, when you were young and your sister was young.
I think there's a lot of people getting into it right now, and those people are the ones kind of discovering this most recently. Obviously, that it's not a very wallet-friendly hobby right now, and I think it's scaring a lot of people away. I don't think they're going away permanently, but they're just waiting for this market to cool down and the chaos to rest before they get back into it.
So, I don't know how to predict this. So this did happen with sports cards probably a couple of years ago, where there's this, and even now you can't find a lot of sports cards, especially football trading cards on the shelves here. And we've opened a few packs just for ourselves. We're not collectors. We're just looking for certain players, mainly in purple and gold, who can't win a Super Bowl. So what's going to happen with the Pokemon card thing? Because the sports cards kind of faded off and kind of got, I guess, more realistic.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Pokemon? What do you see coming up?
I think we still have maybe another 6 months to a year of high prices. I think a lot of the singles and stuff will be coming down now. But Pokemon's 30th anniversary is next year, and they always do a special set for those milestones.
Which they've kind of announced some of that already, right?
Yeah.
On the 30th. And that's probably going to be in short supply when it first comes out, right?
Absolutely. This did happen a little bit, not as severely in 2020 during COVID. And ultimately, it will go back to normal. For how long? I'd guess 6 months to a year before it's like back to reasonable prices. You can go in, find anything at any time. But that's just my best guess from what I've seen previously.
So I know for comics, and then talking to my trading card friends, the grading, sending stuff in to be grading, is really getting blamed for blowing up a lot of these silly prices on singles. And something that we have talked about, where you're sending a comic and getting like a 9.8 or a high grade, is not easy. Even on the modern stuff, the sports cards are graded pretty tight too, but you can still get 9s and 10s. So what's going on? Because I've heard there's a lot of production issues and quality issues with the new Pokemon product for last 3-4 years?
Yeah, probably from 2022 to now.
Yeah, and so talk about that, because they still seem to be grading. Everything, right? Even cards that would be marginal. But they're not getting necessarily good grades. So talk about some of the problems with some of that.
Yeah, so if you send a modern card off to grade one print in the last 2 years, if you don't get a 10, you're losing money. In a couple cases, 9s are worth less than an ungraded card because people want to buy it for that premium and make that premium on them. But with Pokemon cards increasing in production, obviously that means less quality control, more white corners, bent edges.
Centering, I know, has been an issue.
Frayed edges. So a lot of these cards, even pack fresh, they might be a PSA 8, PSA 9 even. And
is that the standard? So is PSA for the Pokemon cards, is it like the sports cards where that seems to be the big company?
For the amount of money you put into the value you get from a PSA card, it's just the best. There's no question about it.
And a lot of these grading companies, PSA, CGC, Beckett, I know I'm missing some others there, they did not get into the non-sports, the CCG cards until maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago on some of them. But a lot of them didn't do it for a long time, right?
PSA has done it for, I think, close to 15 years now.
On the Pokemon.
Okay. I think companies like Beckett and CGC started doing those. They caught on to that COVID pandemic money, and they wanted part of that. So, they're pretty new to it.
But basically, everybody, third-party grading that does cards is pretty much all doing Pokemon and non-sport at this point.
Absolutely.
They've all, because that seems to be the fastest growing portion, I guess, of the collector card market, at least here, where we've seen in the shows. And now we don't set up, so we should mention that we do go to a lot of these trading card shows, but we don't set up at those. haven't been a trading card dealer. I do, some Marvel cards and non-sport, but so really we just go to shop. And something else that we've talked about, I found totally bizarre but fascinating, is this whole way of trying to trade.
Yeah.
And we've seen this for sports and Pokemon and pretty much anything at a trading card show. And when did we start seeing that? A couple of years? 3 years? It hasn't been super long.
I'd say maybe 2. It's been really recent.
Well, we'll talk about that because it's something I'm still trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah. I don't get it either, but for whatever reason, a lot of people, even locally here, we're not a big place.
A lot of these shows have what? 15 dealers, 20 dealers.
15,
they're not massive shows.
And these people don't do it full time. It's just a hobby.
Right. Yeah. Very few full timers.
But what they do is if you trade in a card, they take it at 80 to 90% value sometimes, which is.
And when you say value, what?
So if you had $100 card you want to trade into a vendor, and you wanted one of their cards, they'd give you basically $80, $80 to $90 store credit towards something in their booth, which is crazy.
Well, and it's tough, and I don't get it from a dealer standpoint, because if I have a $100 card, I would rather sell it for 80 cash than 80 trade, because you have to trade. Instead of selling one piece for 80, now I may have to sell 3, 4, 5, or 6 pieces to get that same $80. And where are these values coming from? I mean, they seem to be having, I haven't seen a lot of disagreement. So where are they pulling these? And are they sales prices or asking prices?
They're definitely sales prices.
Okay.
I think they're smart enough to know that, especially the sports card guys. But TCG Player and eBay mainly would be your main sources.
And that's for Pokemon.
Yep, for Pokemon. A lot of these PSA 10s are pretty steady because there's a lot of them being sold every day. So those prices are pretty static and pretty agreeable upon. But it still doesn't make a lot of sense from a vendor's point of view, because as a buyer, I never pay full sticker price for anything at a show. I always feel like I get 10% off. So if a dealer is trading in 80, they make $10 on an $80 card.
Well, and maybe so. I just shot the a podcast previous to this. He hasn't seen it, where I talk about figuring your costs. And so when you go to a show and you're trying to make plus 10%. That probably, unless it's a real big show and you move, a tremendous amount of stuff, it's probably not covering your cost of your gas, your hotel, your time just to set up, and it's probably, depending what they're paying for this product, because they're paying full retail, and then I assume they're opening this. Is that how they're getting a lot of their singles? Is they're opening these boxes and booster boxes?
I think there's some people who just have had cards and they're selling those off now because they've exploded in price, and the rest are just opening cases and cases of product.
Yeah, and so if you hit a rare card, you've opened all these packs to get that. Making 10%, to me, you've got to be pretty much losing money on the product cost, if you're paying full retail on it. Because you don't get a lot of those, right? I mean, some of that stuff's 1 per case, 2 per case. So even if you open a whole case, which is probably going for, $1,300 to $1,500 for a small case or a half case, whatever they want to call it, and you're selling a $100 card for $90, you're not making anything if you're trading for 80%. Yeah, so to me the numbers aren't quite there anymore. Now you were just in a local tournament, casual tournament at one of the local shops. So tell them what you pulled. Tell them what that was all about.
Yeah, so as a pre-release event, Pokemon has these pre-constructed tournaments where you get 7 of the new packs for $25. And this one was Journey Together. It comes out in 2 weeks still. And I pulled 3 really good cards from it. And because it's 2 weeks to the release date, people will pay stupid premiums for them. So I unboxed about three really good cards that I later sold for $300 collectively.
Yeah, and that was for $25 buy-in, right?
Yeah, that's for a $25 buy-in.
So that's kind of a pretty good profit margin when you get that, right?
That is crazy. And, they will drop down in price inevitably when the set comes out. Mm-hmm. So I'll just buy them back for the one I really wanted.
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting perspective. And just from being a long-term collector of other things, you kind of got to sell it while the iron's hot. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be more of these cards coming out. They're coming out now in the whatever it is, your preview stuff. But when that set hits, you're talking, even a rare card's going to have, several thousand copies out there now because
absolutely.
of the print run?
Yeah.
So what do you think, how many copies do you think they're going to have just of that rare card?
Oh, of like the chase card? 300, 400,000 probably.
Yeah, of just that rare card, right? And it's going to take a little bit to hit the market. But once those start hitting the market, because they'll hit them graded, because we talked about that. A lot of people are sending them to be graded, and then I don't know how are they. What is it, about a 6-week turnaround now on it? What's PSA at? Do you know?
I think it's about 3 months because they're pretty backed up right now.
So if they're coming out, let's just say at the end of March. So that'd be April, May. So probably about June, this stuff is going to all start hitting the market at the same time. And that just, eventually is going to drive the price down. Now, this is the thing that I think we're both baffled on, is just the sheer volume of new product and reprinted product that keeps hitting the market. But it hasn't seemed to slow things down yet, has it?
It's also been scooped up and still, which is crazy.
Yeah, and getting just a what were we talking about? We had one of the recent booster boxes a year or so, a sealed one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a $95 box, about a year ago, maybe $100. And you remember what set that was?
You had a couple. Brilliant Stars was your best one by far.
But that should be about maybe $115 box, let's say retail.
Yeah.
And they're bringing what?
$350, I think.
Yeah, and you cannot find it. This stuff, I think it's got to be hoarded, or they're opening massive amounts, like during COVID when they're buying the old Marvel cards from the 90s, old Spider-Man and X-Men and cards from the 90s, buying those boxes and popping them open. But we don't see them. We used to see, we see some blasters. And what are the cardboard ones that come out in like the retail packs? They got the big card in them, the EXs.
Oh yeah, like just the 4-pack boxes. And
yeah,
stuff.
So we see that. But now for probably 4 shows we've been to, including the QC Toy Show, there was nothing. We were one of the few people, and I just had a few oddball leftover packs, loose packs. Nobody had booster boxes. Nobody had stacks of just the booster packs. It was all the retail stuff. So where that's gone, I'm not sure. But somebody's paying a real premium for these sealed boosters and older sealed packs.
I think it might circle back to the initial investment point. I think a lot of these are in people's closets, and they're just waiting for 2-3 more years for them to see how high they'll go before selling them off. I think there's a lot of sealed product out there right now just waiting to be opened and sold. But
yeah, and do you really think that's a good idea? I mean, even the sealed product, it's really super hard to find. But is this market going to keep exploding like this for another 2-3 years with that?
It definitely won't. And I think another bad point about it is that everybody's holding all these same sets at the same time. It's maybe 10-12 sets total in the recent 3-4 years that people are trying to hold for this long-term value, because they saw these pre-COVID sets explode in price. But people weren't holding them back then, and that's why they have their value.
Yeah, and I think a lot of stuff did get open during COVID, not just sports and Marvel stuff, but I think there was a big jump in the whole trading card thing anyway. But it was 60-70% lower price. So it might have been $100, may have been $200 a box. But now some of these more recent sets are going as for what, for a sealed box? Because you talked 300 on the, was it the stars?
Yeah.
So what's one that's, what's another one that's maybe bringing more than that?
Well, Evolving Skies was a set that came out 2 sets before Brilliant Stars, and that, if you want a booster box of that, you'd be paying $1,000 for just one sealed booster box.
Yeah. So the whole pricing point is vastly different than when it was during COVID, when you could just casually do this. A lot of people could just have fun, right? You spend $1,000 on a booster box. I doubt they're popping them open. Do you? Is there a $1,000 card in there? There
is, but you're not going to pull it. I think booster boxes are always dictated by their chase card, and so in that set is an extreme example. But like a lot of these newer boxes that are going for $200, $250, they have their best card in the set maybe $80, $100.
And on the best cards in the set, they're not in every booster box, right?
No, a lot of the best cards in the set, maybe one every couple cases,
So your odds are really, they're really bad.
They're horrible.
They're bad. So if you're buying a $1,000 box, well, even a $200 box, let's say, and you're going to open that up, and when you're done, what do you think legit sellable cards out of that $200 stars box? What do you think, just without the big chase? I mean, would you get $50?
I think you'd get $50 to $60. I think that'd be a good value.
And that's out of the whole box.
Yeah.
36 packs, right? On the booster boxes?
And I think if those booster boxes in a normal time would have been like, $120, $130, I don't think that's that bad of a return.
No, which they used to be, right?
Yeah.
For a long time, that was where a lot of them were at, and some a little cheaper if it wasn't a great set. So now you're paying $200 or more, but you're still only on average getting, instead of $50, you might be getting 60 or 70, unless you get a big hit in there. So I don't know. Still, it seems the market is out of balance. And I don't know when that's going to change. We're supposedly in a really slow economy right now. High food prices, the whole tariff thing. But this is not. At least we didn't see it 2 weeks ago. And we've got the Capital City Card Show is coming up next Friday.
Correct.
And we're gonna go spend some hours there, and then we have to go set up at our QuadCon show at Merle Hay after that. So we can only go for part of the afternoon. But we have seen no signs of this slowing down. And you still, I had to go to the store, Walmart yesterday. I was in Target a couple days ago for other stuff. I don't go for that household stuff. And there's nothing on the shelf, is there? I mean, there's they're just empty shelves at everywhere on these big box retailers. Now, because of the problems they've had, and you told me this has been a while, maybe you have an update, I don't know, but some of these big retailers, are they going to keep carrying them?
They do not plan to, for different reasons. So like Best Buy and Target are not planning on having them shelves anymore. You cannot pre-order anything anywhere for big box retailer. Okay. And Walmart wants to stop carrying them because the shelves are so empty and they'd rather have product there.
Yeah, so, they're losing sales because you can't, I suppose you could put a price on an empty shelf and buy, I don't know. And they also have the problems, it's not really good PR when people are posting all these things about how people are acting in these stores. It just is not a great image. Probably going to be a little bit, though, because these guys pre-order months in advance.
Yeah.
So you haven't heard anything about a date when this is going to stop or take place?
I know Best Buy has already stopped pre-ordering. They're still doing online drops, but I don't think they're getting any new products in store.
Okay.
I know Target, I think you cannot pre-order the new set from there. I think they still might be getting some smaller boxes, like the shelf warmer boxes. Okay. Like we found.
And they have what? Just a few packs in them?
Like a $20 box with 4 random packs. And I think that's going to be pretty common. I know a lot of local game stores are not carrying the new sets just because of demand so crazy. And
I've heard that some of these smaller stores that have pre-ordered and carried Pokemon product for a number of years, the demand is so high they're actually canceling the smaller orders so they can fulfill orders with larger dealers. Now, I don't know if that's big box. I don't know if it's larger specialty dealers. I don't know. But that's a little scary as a business when you've got a good product that people are coming in for, and the distributors. It's not the Pokemon Company. Mm-hmm. So this is not the people that are printing the cards. This is the people that distribute them wholesale to retailers. They're basically putting people in a really bad position. I don't want to say they're putting them out of business, but that's something that could happen. Because all of a sudden the product that these people pre-order, they can't even get it if they want it. And that's pretty much at any price. I've been talking to some of these people that other dealers that are on the wholesale list, and the wholesale prices basically have gone through the roof. Even if they can get the product, they're basically going to make $15, $20 a box by selling them by the pack. And I think that's another reason why maybe they're opening these things, because they're trying to. I don't know. It's very confusing. It's very frustrating for everybody. And when that'll end, I don't know. You got any more thoughts to add? That's all I had for questions. Do you have anything else you wanted to say on it? Or
I think for a lot of the small stores, I think to make up for that cost, I think they're backdooring a lot of these products at the market price.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
I agree.
It affects collectors and people who go into the stores wanting to buy stuff that won't be there because...
Yeah, either employees or, they're grabbing it off the shelf for themselves or another buddy, right? Mm-hmm. Which they're not supposed to do. That is against most store policies, but it sure doesn't seem to have stopped that. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to add to it there?
Not really. I'm just going to try to wait it out, collect what I like, and make sure I don't buy it at too crazy of a price.
So you're going to take a pause, but not a stop on a lot of the collecting right now?
I'm definitely going to slow down. I won't be putting any more sets together. But, I know I'll be here when the market cools down, and we just got to wait it out until then.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, Cam. I appreciate that. Corey, I got a lot of stuff to go through on the podcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching. If you can think of any other topics you want to hear about, just drop me a line in the comments section. Let me know. Thanks for watching.